Okay, hello everyone. We are live. I'm just going to give everyone a few more minutes just to join the webinar and then we'll kick things off. Great. Okay, hello everyone. I'm Priya Grant, the Alumni Engagement Manager here at King's, and today I'm thrilled to be hosting this webinar on building success with your LinkedIn profile. Job hunting and recruitment are rapidly changing, and in the current climate, it's more important than ever to make the best use of resources like LinkedIn to stand out from the competition, which is why we're so lucky today to have Anyinye with us to share her wisdom with you. Anyinye was the winner of the King Student of the Year Award in 2018 and has since graduated from her BA in Religion, Politics and Society and is now completing an MA in Education, Policy and Society, also at King's. She's the founder and director of Enrich Learning, a fast-growing education business, and was recruited by Deloitte's risk advisory team to their graduate scheme. She attributes a lot of the opportunities she's had to the work she's put into cultivating her personal brand and her LinkedIn profile specifically. So before we get started, just a few notes about how to make the most of this webinar. We will be using the Q&A feature, so please add your questions there and you can upvote any questions that you want us to prioritize. We'll address those at the end of the webinar. We'll get through as many as we can in the time that we have. Also, feel free to share any comments and resources in the chat. Right, without further ado, let's hear from Anyinye.
Thanks so much, Priya. Hi, everyone. As Priya said, my name is Anyinye. I'm just about to finish a MA at King's, and today I'm going to be sharing all my tips and tricks so that you can build success with your LinkedIn profile. Now I'm going to do that thing that everyone's doing and share my screen and then say, can you see that? 1 second. Okay, hopefully everyone can see the screen. So today I'm talking about how to build success with your LinkedIn profile. I'm going to start off by telling you how the webinar is going to run. So I'm going to give a brief explanation as to what LinkedIn actually is, because I think the reason why so many people use it incorrectly is because I don't think they genuinely understand the functions and how it works. I'm then going to talk about how I built success with my LinkedIn profile, then going to give you the first steps to building success with yours, how to take your profile to the next level. I've got a really, and this is new to this kind of this session that I deliver, kind of using LinkedIn to find a job. I know that we are in the middle of a global pandemic. Loads of people have lost jobs. Loads of people have lost graduate schemes, unfortunately, but I guarantee you there is still lots of work available. And then I'm going to give you tips on how to maintain success with your LinkedIn profile. So what is LinkedIn? I'm sure a lot of you have seen this meme that went viral. I can't remember if it was this year or last year. Everything's kind of merged into one. But essentially, LinkedIn is not Facebook, it's not Instagram, and it's definitely not Tinder. What I have seen over the last kind of 6 to 8 months, especially amongst the student community, so those of you who are recent grads, again, congratulations. Hopefully you'll get your graduation ceremony soon. I've seen that you guys, especially, you're using the wrong photos for your LinkedIn. So profile photos where you're holding an alcoholic beverage, probably not a good idea. Profile photos where you're, at Ministry of Sound, with your friend, probably not a good idea. If you're a bit older, I'm sure you look lovely at your wedding, but that's not a suitable profile photo either. A clean kind of professional headshot is what we're looking for. Going beyond just the photos and the aesthetic, I guess, of your profile, the messaging. So LinkedIn isn't, again, like Facebook, where you can write a post about what you did. Well, actually, no, I take it back. It is about what you did today, but slightly different. And I'll go into detail about that later on. But it's not like saying, oh, today I went on a walk with my dog and like taking a photo with it. It's not that kind of forum. It's quite professional. And whilst I believe LinkedIn is going through a shift where kind of personality is really liked and it's good for you to kind of show a bit of who you are, at the end of the day, it's a working social media platform. So it should be as professional as possible. We need to try not to perhaps give too much information or be too personal. Looking to kind of build that professional personal brand so that when you walk into the room, if someone has been on your LinkedIn profile, they can talk about who you are, but in a work setting. So that's what LinkedIn is. So it's not Facebook, it's not Instagram, and please, it's not Tinder. Okay, so how have I built success with my profile? I've been consistent. So I've only really been on the app for 2 years now. So it's not a very long time. I know there's some people who are listening to this webinar, you've probably been on there for years. But what LinkedIn have noticed, and that's why it's moving towards allowing people or creating the opportunity for people to be more personal, is that someone will set up a LinkedIn account and then will literally never use it until maybe they need to find a job, or just they never use it. They kind of want to change the culture. So that's kind of why they've had this move towards being personal to some extent. That being said, I use the app every single day. I tend to post every single day, although recently deadlines, essays, dissertation, I've not posted every single day. But I do like things and comment things and like keep in touch with people that I've connected with, and I use the messaging facility quite a lot. So that's what I mean when I say be consistent. I constantly update my profile. So it's your online CV, and I'm going to go like through step by step, like what kind of updates you need to make on your personal profile. But I update my profile at least once a month to make sure that it's relevant. It should always be changing, especially if you're looking for new opportunities. Actually, I'll be honest again, I am no longer constantly connecting, but I'm getting loads of requests from people. And again, if someone wants to connect with me today, I'm completely happy for you to do that. Happy for you to message me. It might take a while. I get a lot of messages, but that's completely fine. Connect with people, connect constantly. You don't necessarily have to know them. They don't have to be your friend. But you can, if you're shy about connecting with someone you don't necessarily know, there is an opportunity to send them a message whilst you are trying to send them a connection invitation. So that's something that you can do that's also really useful. And then I said this when I was talking about consistency, but regular posting. LinkedIn is there for you to post every single day. So it doesn't have to be every single day, but perhaps once a week or a couple of times a month. So post your news, keep people updated on what you are doing. I stress what you are doing professionally. So going out to a restaurant with your friends and family doesn't count. But for example, I'm a governor at a school, and if the school is doing something really cool that I've been working on, then I'll update my followers about that, because that's professional and it's interesting and it's stuff that people would actually want to read. So that's what I mean by regular posting. Cool. So the first steps, my profile doesn't look like this anymore, and hopefully I'll get an opportunity to show you what it does look like now. But first things first, professional photographs. Like I said, please, if you're a King's student, I'm not sure if alumni are able to gain access to this. You can ask Priya, but when post-COVID, please don't go to the campus now. Post-COVID-19, they usually host like a photograph session. So a professional photographer comes in to the university and takes professional headshots for you. Unfortunately, I didn't know this. So second year in Inye spent £180 on the photo that you're seeing there right now, which is why I'm very reluctant to change it. Don't make the mistake I made. There are loads of resources at the university to help you build your profile. Use them, because I'm so annoyed that I didn't even know. And then this is a really important part of your profile. So it's the about section. It's often called the summary section when you're kind of putting your profile together or updating it. So many people get this wrong. First of all, we don't need 20 paragraphs. We don't need your entire life story. Nobody's going to read that. I'm speaking now as someone who employs quite a significant number of staff now. I don't accept CVs anymore. I only accept LinkedIn URLs. When I was applying for grad schemes, many of them only accepted LinkedIn URLs, and I also don't read 20 paragraphs of your summary. And I know that loads of other employers follow that system as well. So trying to keep it short and sweet is difficult, I'll be honest. But if you can do that, fantastic. Oddly, writing in third person is really, really useful. It's just a style that I think reads better. It makes more sense. I know it might be weird for you that is writing it, but it's definitely it's just a better way of doing things. And separating maybe different things that you're doing with short paragraphs, like I've done. So talking about my business and then my study and then kind of my career, they're all kind of separate paragraphs, and that really helps. Generally speaking, on LinkedIn, because of the way the app looks, especially on a mobile phone, even with your posts, separating what you're saying so that it's no more than like 4 lines looks really good. So that's one of the first things to really pay attention to. One other thing that I wanted to talk about is the kind of, so where it says director and founder at Enrich Learning, a lot of people do this thing of putting all their roles. So you might be like, so like myself, that is not the only thing that I'm doing. Sometimes I wish it was, but it's not. I'm still a student, and I've got another startup now, and the list goes on. But I don't put all of them in that, in the kind of your occupation. And the reason being is because, and I hate to get all techie about this, but the LinkedIn algorithm isn't as clever as like Facebook, for example. It's still really a growing and emerging social media platform. And what happens is that you confuse the algorithm. So you do not get found as much in searches when you have so many different occupations. So I know that the thought is, okay, if I put all of that stuff in, then people will find me. That doesn't work on LinkedIn. That's why I say that it's fine for you to chop and change, to change regularly. If you want, you can change your occupation every single day. I advise people to change it to what is most relevant to what they are doing now, and most current, and just keep it changing. But do not put like 6 different things that you're doing in at once, because it just can't cope with it, and you end up being put, you know, at the back of the queue for the search results. This is a really cool and exciting new feature. So this was not on LinkedIn beforehand. It was there previously. No, it wasn't there previously. It is there now. And it's called the featured section. And I believe everyone can gain access to it. When it was first launched, only a small handful of people were given access to it. But now you should all be able to find it in your ad sections. And hopefully I'll get a chance to show you guys this stuff towards the end. But basically this part of the profile enables you to showcase things that you do, achievements that you're especially proud of. So thank you, Kings, for putting me on the cover of In Touch. I've put that there so that everyone can see. You know, popular blog posts that you may have written, things that you're really proud of. It's not the time to be shy. This is your time to shine. So yeah, toot your own horn a little bit in this section. It's really important because I know that employers are now looking at that feature. They're looking at that part of people's LinkedIn profiles and seeing what makes that person stand out and hopefully give them a job. So that's a really cool feature that I think you should be aware of and you should use if you can. Now, the bit that everyone has questions about, your online CV. LinkedIn is an online CV. So I like to say to people, LinkedIn has 3 parts. It's got the LinkedIn social media feed. So that's where you post things like a Facebook post. It has your LinkedIn profile. That's your online CV. And then the LinkedIn job search function. That's a whole other part. And actually, I lie, there's 4 parts. There's an articles bit, but let's not get into that today. That's like a blog. We can get into that another day. We're focusing now on your online CV part. This is where you put in all your work experience, emphasis on all. So even if, whilst you were at King's, you were working at a bar or you were working in retail, that's really important information, because that kind of, it's not just about the job, it's about the skill set that comes with the job. I, for example, have been tutoring for like over 10 years, but as a tutor, someone might say, oh, how is helping a child with their English or their maths or their science homework relevant? It's really relevant, because it meant that I had to like plan time, etc., and all these other different skills that you use. So it's really important that you keep that updated. Don't be shy, don't be ashamed of anything. If you worked in McDonald's, that means that you've got resilience, because not all McDonald's customers are very nice. So that's what I mean in terms of just be a bit more forthcoming. And then personally, and this is what has worked for me over the last 2 years, I've seen in the past some students especially, and actually some older users of LinkedIn, or some more mature users, they like write 10 billion paragraphs about the role. I'm so sorry, but everyone knows what a tutor is. Like everyone just knows what a tutor is. You don't need to, explain. No one's going to read that. So, because the shorter your profile is, the better. And again, like I said, the LinkedIn algorithm is still being developed. It's not very clever. So all those words that you're using, they don't necessarily add anything. However, if you do a job where or you've done something that's unusual. So for example, I started enriched learning when I was 12 years old. That's really weird. And enriched learning, I mean, the word learning is in it, but you might not realize that it's an ed tech, it's an online platform. There's a couple of sentences just explaining what that is. That's when that function is really useful. It's when you're doing something that maybe hasn't really been heard of, then you use it, but it's not for you to write loads of paragraphs about something blindingly obvious, like working in New Look. Everyone knows what that entails to some extent. Then study, so they have an education section, include all the things that you've done. I often, if you're British, you'll know what I mean when I say, like, don't go below your A levels or your international baccalaureate or BTEC, because it's not really relevant. I mean, you can put your GCSEs on there if you really want to, but you don't have to. Such no one really cares about your GCSEs. So yeah, for international viewers of this webinar, so like the oldest kind of grades you should put on there are high school. So at the end of high school, whatever you got then is really useful. Do put the grades that you achieved. Don't lie. It's not worth it. The employer might ask for certificates, and that might be an awkward conversation. If you really don't want to put your grades on there, that's fine. King's students, if you've done any study abroad, so like I did, I studied in China for a bit, include that and include your grade. It looks great. I have had amazing conversations with employers about my study abroad, and they love it. So that looks really good. Volunteering as well is something that I think is often dismissed, or people think it's not important. It's so important. It just shows a really incredible skill set, and especially if you were able to do that whilst juggling work or university or anything else, it just looks really good. And if you've got a wide variety of volunteering experience, that can also give you some brownie points when you're looking for a job. This part of the LinkedIn profile, so again, I'll show you on my real-time profile all of this stuff, but you should all have these functions on your profile as well. The skills and endorsement, really, really important part of your profile, because basically it gives employers an opportunity to look at what you're good at, so that, you know, they can see if you're the right fit for the job. More importantly, for the LinkedIn platform, the skills that you put on here is what LinkedIn uses to suggest roles for you to apply for. So again, it's not the opportunity, it's not time for you to be shy and, you know, say, oh, I'm not really sure if I'm good about that. If you're good about it, just put it on your LinkedIn profile. You know what you're doing, just go for it. Don't be shy. A really cool thing I really like about LinkedIn is endorsements. So get your friends to endorse you. Like, if all of you are on LinkedIn, then you should all help each other. Don't lie. If your friend's not good at public speaking, please don't endorse them for that. Possibly break it to them and say you're not very good at it. But do endorse them for skills that they are good at. Endorse people that you've heard speak or you believe have good leadership, and they can do the same for you. So when someone endorses you, LinkedIn lets you know, and then asks you if you want to endorse them back. So there is kind of like this lovely friendship that is developed. So, you know, strangers can endorse you, you endorse them back, it might spark a conversation, you might get a job. I know that sounds a bit far-fetched, but I've heard stories where it's happened, so you never know. So do spend some time. If you're not sure about your skill set, LinkedIn's great. It's got a quiz, uses AI, artificial intelligence, tells you what you're good at, but you should have a good idea of what you can and cannot do. Okay, awards again. Guys, do you know why I love LinkedIn? I'll be honest, I love bigging myself up. That's why, to some extent. Obviously, I'm not a massive big head, but, well, I'd like to think I'm not. But that's what the platform is for. It's for you to say, hey, look at me, I'm good at ABC, hire me or pay attention to me or give me an opportunity. We are in the middle of a pandemic. No one's giving you a job just like that anymore. I'm so sorry. Like, that's just the world we are in right now. And so you will have to fight to get noticed. This makes it so much easier. So on your LinkedIn profiles, any awards that you've won, put it on there. Again, not like from when you were in primary school or kindergarten. Let's not go that far back, because I've seen that as well. That's not what I'm talking about. I would say perhaps maybe within, again, since high school, so the end of high school to now, awards that are recognized. You know, I'm sure having the best smile in the classroom is a great award to have won, but not for LinkedIn. Again, just kind of making sure you've got the balance between being professional and showcasing your personality. Any additional courses? So I know King's, the careers department, have some excellent courses that you can do alongside your study. So I did the Leadership and Professional Skills Award, which was an additional course. It's got a certificate, it's assessed, etc. I've done a crisis management course. When I studied abroad, I did a course there. So all of those different courses, again, they look really good because it shows, okay, this person might, I don't know, have a degree in French, for example, but they've done a leadership course, so they know about leadership, or they've done an accounting course, so they might be not an accountant, but they've got accounting skills, and so you could be useful in an office. So do take time to fill in the accomplishments part of the LinkedIn profile section page. Now, the bit I'm sure everyone's been waiting for, using LinkedIn to find a job. I'm going to talk about two types of job here because LinkedIn's helped me do that. The first is, I guess, find more of a full-time role, or like more of a official job. And then the second is maybe finding a side hustle, freelance work, you know, short-term contract work. And I'm going to talk about how to get both. The first, this is about getting, you know, a full-time job, like a job that is going to pay you a salary, and hopefully you won't be made redundant even though we're in a global pandemic. That's the kind of job I'm talking about right now. On here, I actually screenshot this today, so this is as up to date as it can get, is the jobs that LinkedIn have recommended that I should apply for based on all the other things I've spoken about thus far in this webinar. So what I mean by that is, you know, based on my experience, based on what I've been endorsed on, recommendations, etc. This is what LinkedIn has said, go for these jobs. Now, what I do, I'm no longer looking for a full-time job, to be fair, because I've got one now. But when I didn't have one, what I used to do is I used to look for where KCL alumni are working. The reason why, and if this is why you need to put in your education, because LinkedIn collects all this information and then summarizes it and then like literally produces something that is tailor-made to you. The reason why I look for KCL alumni, a place that loves us, like clearly the Financial Times, they love us, 29 alumni, that's huge. It means that they like us, like they want us. It may also mean that the CEO is an alumnus of King's. Some people, hopefully all of us, we had a great time at the university, had positive experiences, and we know that bringing people from King's will be a positive and good thing. That gives you an opportunity. That's your foot in the door. Okay, I'll be very honest, you know, it wasn't with King's, but the interview I had for Deloitte, I sat opposite someone who went to the same school as me and we had no idea. But I'd seen when I was applying for the job that people from my school had ended up at Deloitte. So it does genuinely work. You may go for your interview and I mean, that's great. All you do is talk about your time at King's and hopefully you get the job. Please don't do that. Please answer their questions. But aside from that, it's a really good tactic and it works. I'm not saying that I wouldn't apply for the jobs where KCL alumni aren't like present. Of course, still apply for those, but you're more likely to get a job where there's 29 of you anyway. So perhaps put more time and effort into them. One other thing to note is just, so LinkedIn's great because it tells you what applications are fairly straightforward and then which ones are like quite long and you should probably take a couple of hours out to do them or possibly even a day. So they have like a easy apply. So if you're desperate but short for time, perhaps just look for those jobs and then fingers crossed you get it. And then this is how to kind of get the side hustle, the short-term contract, freelance, however you want to call it, job. This is based on your profile. Again, I believe LinkedIn have made this feature accessible to everyone, but I don't know. I can't promise you that for sure. So just check on your own profile. But what you can do is on your profile, you can make it clear and anyone can see this as long as you set the settings for anyone to see it, what services you can provide. I have had so many freelance jobs. I currently have a short-term contract I'm working on right now with a client that I got from LinkedIn. People will reach out to you. I'll talk about how they'll reach out to you in a minute. It means you having to kind of take your profile to the next level. But if you do that, you can pick up short-term roles on LinkedIn. And sometimes it's better to pick up like loads of different short-term roles until you find your feet or until kind of the economic situation around us settles before getting into like a proper full-time job. So that's just another thing. Please do fill it in. If this function isn't yet made available to you, because I know that certain functions aren't made available depending on how many followers you have, etc. What you can do is put the services you provide if you are a freelancer in your about section, so in your summary section, just a couple of sentences, because people do read them, they just don't read them when they're like 500 words long. So tips for maintaining success. There's a slide missing, 1 second. Sorry guys, this was the slide I was talking about that was missing. So I just talked about how you can use LinkedIn to kind of get a side hustle job, but you kind of need to take your profile to the next level to do that. The way in which you do that is you reach out to people. So I have had some interesting experiences by just messaging someone I do not know and saying, hi, my name is Aninye, I do ABC, I love your work, or I listened to something you did, or I saw you speak, it was fantastic. Would you be meeting to have coffee with me? Obviously not now, we're in a pandemic, so maybe a virtual coffee on Zoom, but have a phone call, have a Zoom call. Would you be willing to just respond to this message? That kind of builds up your recognition in the LinkedIn algorithm world. And so they will keep promoting your profile for things. They'll keep showing you up and you look like more genuine. You don't look like a bot or a fake person online. So people are more likely to tap into you for freelance services. Another way of taking your profile to the next level is reacting and commenting on other people's posts. So not just posting load yourself, but being really interactive and engaging on the app is really cool and kind of helps take your profile to the next level. So that's how to kind of get the freelance work if the full-time job route isn't working well for you. Okay, and my last tips before all your questions, I'm sure I've got loads, is first of all, be professional. Please, it's a professional app. From your profile photo and header right through to what you write on there, just think twice. You know, if you wouldn't show it to your grandma, probably shouldn't be on LinkedIn. Second thing is being aware of your entire online identity. So I know I only spoke about LinkedIn today, but LinkedIn has this feature, which is quite cool. You can link it to other social media platforms like your Twitter profile or Instagram or Facebook page if you've got one. If your LinkedIn is lovely and, you know, PG-13, but everything else is X-rated, that doesn't look good because it will come back onto your LinkedIn profile somehow. You won't get a job. So just kind of be aware of that. And if you want some things to be personal, don't link it to your LinkedIn profile. You don't have to. And then the last thing is be confident and be consistent. I genuinely don't think that there's a reason for someone not to reply to me. That doesn't mean that everyone's always replied to me, but if I get ignored or, you know, they don't respond, I don't take it as a no. I just take it as a not right now. Maybe next time someone else will say yes. So I think if you have that attitude and you're quite resilient, then you should be able to find an opportunity, a work opportunity, a paid opportunity, hopefully that works for you. And yeah, that's it. Any questions, please feel free to ask. Oh, I promised to show you my profile, so I'll do that really quickly, and then because I think I should explain. 1 second, let me just see. Sorry guys, this is like really 1 second. That's not what I wanted to do. Here we go. So this is my, hopefully you can see my LinkedIn profile. This is my profile at the moment. This is my about section. To add more sections, this is what I was talking about. So you've got intro. A lot of people find it quite difficult to find the about section. That's where the about section is. The featured section, which is now new and I believe is available to everyone. So you can upload like your most popular posts, articles, links, media, etc. Background, so work experience and education, all of those things are here. The skills section is here, accomplishments. So hopefully you get the picture. Yeah, it took a while, like I said, to build my profile to this level. I'm not going to stop sharing the screen. Yeah, it took a while to get my profile to that level. Rome isn't built in a day. So it did take me 2 years to get to this point. If you want to take your profile to the level to which I've taken it, go for it. But remember to just be consistent, and good luck. I'm open to any questions.
Great, thank you so much, Anine. That was really, really helpful. We do have questions streaming in. I'm just going to go based on what's being upvoted. So the top question is from Rita, and her question is, how do you use connections to reach the companies you'd like to work with?
Okay, so this might sound rather stalkerish, but I have done it in the past, which is just connecting with loads of people from that organization. And dropping them a message saying, hi, you know, my name's Rita. Really, like, I have a desire to work for your company. Could you tell me a little bit more about it? Or do you have any tips about the application process? Is there anything that I need to know? people love that, and it makes them feel special and makes them feel good when you do that. So do that. Perhaps don't message the CEO like just yet, because I know that advice sometimes is taken the wrong way. But again, be confident and just connect with loads of them.
That's really helpful. Another one from Rachel is, should you accept every connection request or use discretion?
Okay, that's a really good question. I do not accept every single connection request, although I do accept most. You don't have to connect with everyone. I'm not trying to say that at all. And actually be a bit targeted with your audience. So for example, I really like accepting students because, well, I work in education. It's my passion. I also want to help students as much as possible. I had an interesting student experience myself and want to share that. There's no one I wouldn't connect with, but there are one or two that come through and I just think not for me. So just, yeah, do it with caution. But I guess the more connections you have, the better for LinkedIn, I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely. We've got a question from Alessia. She's wondering, if you're using LinkedIn while you're in your first year at university, what do you advise that people include in their summary? Okay. And maybe, I guess, for a broader question, if you don't have that much experience yet, what should you highlight?
So say that you're a student, that's really good. The subject that you study, people are really interested in that. Talk about your interests. Like, you are a person, you're not just someone who's looking for a job. So again, within reason and appropriate interests, but talk about what you like doing as a person. If you've got, because I know loads of students now have blogs, or like if you're a creative and you've got like an online portfolio, stick that in there as well, because that's really cool. And if you're looking for a job in a specific industry, you can put that in your summary. That's what I did. I put like a sentence in saying, I'm open to work opportunities, specifically in like risk and communications and education. That's what I really, really like. And so people naturally gravitated towards me from those industries, because that's what I found interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's so right. If you don't have the experience yet, just say that, be honest and say that's something you're looking for experience in. We've got a question from Leah. How do you reach out to people at companies you're interested in but don't have job openings at the moment? And how would you identify the person that's the most useful to connect to? Okay.
Generally speaking, HR, so somebody who works in human resources, is probably like the right person to connect with. That's actually quite a tricky question and a good one. I would say, when you type in the company name into a search function, what will happen is, and I didn't really get into this today because LinkedIn is quite techy, you've got first degree connection, second degree, and third degree. And so that's all to do with how many people you are all connected with, like a bit like Facebook and mutual friends, see it like that. What LinkedIn will show you is the people that are closest to you, so you kind of have a reason to connect with them. So that's what I would say. Type in the company, have a look at who comes up, and then go from there.
Yeah, definitely. We've got another question about how to use the recommendations section from the employer's perspective, and asking, is it worth requesting a recommendation on LinkedIn?
100%. If I do a job for someone, I ask them to recommend me. Why? Because it's almost like references on a CV. So that's, like I said, LinkedIn is your online CV. As an employer, I do not accept like the conventional CV anymore. You have to give me your LinkedIn URL. So if you have no recommendations, it doesn't particularly bother me. I can just ask you for references if needed. But if you have some, that's fantastic, because that shows that you're really, really good at what you do. So they definitely are worth requesting. When I first started, so about a year ago, asking for recommendations, I actually used to email the person before requesting on LinkedIn and say, hey, I hope you don't mind. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but do you mind writing me a recommendation based on X that I did for you? I'd really appreciate it. And I would even say back to them, I will write you a recommendation too if you would like. And we do one for each other. And yeah, it was great. So, and you can put it on your profile. It looks really good. So yeah.
Great, yeah. And I think that's such a good point, is that most people, if you just ask them, they're happy to give you a recommendation. If they're not offering, it's just because they haven't thought of it. It's not that they're not willing to give you one. Laura has a question about the algorithms. She's wondering if there's any tips to working with the algorithms in order to boost the profile and to appear in searches first. And in general, how do the LinkedIn algorithms work to show you the results first?
Okay, the second question about how the LinkedIn algorithms work, we could be here forever. So I'm really sorry. Given the time that I've got, I won't go into too much detail about that. But the first about, in general, I would say don't worry too much about it. I guess I'm at the point with my LinkedIn profile. I mean, I've got like over 1,000 followers now, so this stuff does matter to me. But if you're just starting out, it really doesn't matter. It's not important. The things to remember is that it's not the cleverest algorithm out there. Like most things that are techie, the technology has not advanced so far that you can put in loads of information in a like non-systematic way. So to work with the algorithm, keep things as simple as possible, give detail, but remember that less is more, and be constant and consistent. So what it's not good at is you downloading the app, setting up your profile, posting for like a week, then not coming back for 3 months, and then coming back and then not coming back. You're just put to the side if you do that, to be quite honest. But if you genuinely have an interest about being active with your profile, then I strongly encourage you to make it, if not daily, a weekly thing that you go on there.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely more about being proactive rather than relying on the algorithm. James has a question. Do you include the list of modules in the descriptions of your uni education, and is it appropriate to connect with your lecturers? If you're doing a free online course, do you recommend paying for the certificate or simply saying you did it on LinkedIn? Is that enough? Sorry, that's a few questions.
Oh, okay. Okay. Please don't delete the question yet. Let me just read it so I can answer.
Yeah, I think that the main part is whether or not you should be including the list of the modules that you're taking within your description of your uni education. And also, I think the question about connecting with your lecturers is a good one.
Okay, so the module list, I would say you do not need to do that. However, if there's a module where you did exceptionally well, do put it on there. So I didn't talk about this a lot today, but I've used LinkedIn to get my work published, like my academic work published, and it does work because I did exceptionally well in a specific module in the postgraduate I'm doing now. So in that case, I would recommend that you do that. You do not need to put on all your modules because, being completely honest with you, people don't care about all of them. And then, is it appropriate to connect with your lecturers? I've connected with my lecturer, or rather they connected with me. I had no problem with it. I accepted the connection. As long as you're comfortable, that's fine, I guess. And then if you're doing a free online course, simply doing it on LinkedIn, saying that you did it is enough. I mean, no one's going to ask you for like pictures of the certificate, but if you want to satisfy yourself, then you can get it.
Yeah, no, perfect. And then we've got another question about, is it better to keep your profile open when you're investigating people and companies so that they know that they can see that you've been looking at them, or is it okay to keep it hidden?
Okay, the hidden thing only happens if you're paying for LinkedIn Premium. I believe it's like £64 a month or something ridiculous. I have never used LinkedIn Premium in my life, and I've been able to build this profile very well. So keeping it open, keeping it hidden, it's nothing to hide, in my opinion. Feel free to keep it open. I guess don't view someone's profile if you don't want them to know that you've been viewing their profile, and like that's the only time I wouldn't use it. Generally speaking, the people who have premium profiles are recruitment work, like people who work in recruitment and headhunters, because they shouldn't, like, it has to remain anonymous. They don't want a conflict of interest, which is fair enough, and they're looking at your profile to hopefully give you a job. So
great, yeah. Kyle wants to know if you would recommend purchasing the monthly subscription for someone who uses LinkedIn sparingly. I guess you kind of answered this already, but just is there any situation that you would recommend updating to the premium account?
Yeah, so if you're really, really struggling to find work, I know that the premium account is very good for like boosting up your profile, number one. Number two, it gives you more tailored advice about how to approach certain companies, gives you access to more information, it makes you more visible to specifically headhunters and recruiters. However, it's really expensive, and I would say be smart with it. So I still haven't used my free trial because I'm keeping it for the rainy day that perhaps I really need it. And then in that month, I will live, eat, breathe, and sleep LinkedIn because there's no way I'm paying £64 a month to use it. And after that, I'll just cancel it.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, this is a great question that we've got from someone anonymous. Could you share your insights into how beneficial LinkedIn is for different industries? Are there anywhere it's essential? And conversely, are there anywhere you wouldn't recommend spending too much time working on your LinkedIn profile? So I guess especially thinking about at King's, we've got people who are in all kinds of health professions. We've got people who are interested in academia, and then banks, accounting, everything, business. There's so much that students and alumni at King's might be interested in getting into.
Okay, this is a great question. LinkedIn is for everyone, but it's right for you to ask whether some people should spend less or more time on it. I guess dentists, medics, nurses, there's no real reason for you to spend hours and hours on your LinkedIn profile. Like, it just doesn't make sense for you to do that. However, if you are a dentist or a nurse or someone in kind of that kind of profession, even like an engineer, and there's something else that you do on the side, LinkedIn is a really great place to showcase that. I think at the bare minimum, have the profile, because you never know whether you want to switch careers or giving your industry a little bit more exposure. And depending on what you do, you know, you never, especially now in this pandemic, you know, we've needed scientists now more than ever. I'm sure they probably never thought of being on LinkedIn, but if you're a pathologist, you're like gold. We need you to find out how to get rid of this virus. So having a LinkedIn profile gives you some presence. It's like part of your personal brand. Again, like I said, it's your online CV. So that's a really good place for you to put what you do, what point in your career you're at, and then people can kind of get to know about you that way.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's just with anything, if you even just having the profile and making sure that it's up to date, that's enough for a lot of professions, especially if you're not actively job hunting. But then it just takes away the fact that it's not something you have to then go and create and add to and do all that work down the line. If you're just steadily adding to it as you go, as you're gaining experience, that's going to help you immensely. We've got another question about, could you please tell us more about what successes you've achieved on LinkedIn, just to get an understanding of what to aim for?
Okay, first of all, aim for the sky and beyond. That's generally my philosophy. That's a really lovely question. We'd be here forever if I was to talk about all the successes, but I think one of my coolest ones, like the ones that one I'm really proud of, is there was a guest speaker that came to King's. She just talk about marketing and building up small businesses, and I wasn't able to go to the talk. I think I had a lecture or something, so I found her on LinkedIn and I sent her a message and I was like, hi, my name's Aninye, I've got this business, but I really want to find out how to take it from like side hustle to a proper small business. I know you gave a talk, but I wasn't able to go, and I would really like to meet you. So I wasn't even asking for a phone call. I was thinking, I'm just gonna go hard or go home, right? Surprisingly, she said yes, and I met her at Shoreditch House, which I'd never been to Shoreditch House, so it was like super cool going in there. But also, she gave me 2 hours of her time for free. We had coffee, told me about her book, and I swear to you, everything she's told me has been the backbone of this business, and it helped me really build a lot of successes from that. I did not know this woman. I was not connected to her prior to that. I literally had never heard of her beforehand. I connected with her. I sent her a message. We're still friends today. Like, I've got her phone number now, and she's introduced me to other people that are now in conversations with me about doing partnerships with my business. That all stemmed from LinkedIn. So that's a really great, I think that's one of the greatest things I've gotten from there.
Oh, that's such a nice story. And yeah, just a testament to the power of this platform, really. We've got a question about whether it's useful to keep a bilingual account in order to keep old contacts, or if it's better to have a second separate account in English while staying in the UK.
The more accounts you have, the more headache. Do what's best for you, I guess. If the bilingual account enables you to have a wider reach, especially now that we are in lockdown, I would say keep it. If you are staying in England, based in England, looking for work in England, I'm not sure why you would keep the other account. So I guess do what's best for you considering your situation.
Yeah, definitely, that makes sense. And then we've got a question about, would it be okay to start your LinkedIn account without a profile picture if you currently can't get a professional one? So I guess, is it better to have nothing than not to have a professional photo?
No is the answer. Probably have a white wall somewhere, or a black wall, or a gray wall. A plain wall. Look, iPhones, Samsungs, they all have like fantastic cameras. Just get wear a smart shirt or something formal, and then get someone to take a picture of you. But I highly recommend having a photo so people can put a face to a name.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously we addressed it. It's very difficult in the circumstances right now to get a professional photo. So just, yeah, have whoever you're living with, whoever you're self-isolating with, take a nice photo of you and use that in the meantime, and then update it when you can. Then Vanessa's asking, if you're doing freelance work, but not with a recognized institution, for example, tutoring children just from your community, should you still include that on your profile?
Yes, you should. So I tutored for 8 years, like independently without an organization, and it was on my LinkedIn profile. Just say a little bit about what you do, maybe what subject that you teach, and keep it. Yeah, you don't have to be like, freelancers tend to do things on their own, right? So you don't have to like be with an official company to do that.
Yeah, definitely. We've got another question about another aspect of LinkedIn that we didn't have a chance to cover today, which is LinkedIn Learning, and whether you should put your LinkedIn Learning achievements onto your profile.
All achievements should be put onto your profile. All achievements. So that's fantastic. I think the LinkedIn Learning feature is extremely useful. I would highly recommend that. One second, I'm just going to work it out. Okay. Yeah, I think it's really important for people to celebrate everything. LinkedIn Learning is a great platform, and I guess I will assume it should, well, the algorithm will like you because you're basically promoting them as well. So do put that kind of content on there too. Yeah,
definitely. You've got another question about the photo behind the profile picture and whether or not that's important. And then this person also heard that adding a vertical slash in the description of your job helps with the LinkedIn algorithm.
I've heard otherwise, I guess, and keeping things simple is just better. I'll be honest. I've had more work opportunities because I used to do that weird slash thing as well. But I've had more work opportunities and greater success by getting rid of it. So based off my experience and what I've heard from people that work at LinkedIn, that's why I said what I said. But in terms of the photo behind being important, no, I'm going to be honest, you don't need to spend money on that, right? You don't, like, it's not necessary for you to do that. The blue banner is perfectly fine, but if you want to, you can.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just an opportunity to really show your personality or something that's related to you, but it's definitely not necessary. Craig wants to know, how secure is LinkedIn, and would you recommend it to police, military, civil servants looking to see what else might be out there?
I am connected with a lot of civil servants and a lot of people in like military and quite senior military roles as well. If they're on there, must be perfectly fine. I would advise you, especially if you're looking to go into the civil service, to have a LinkedIn profile, because I know that they check that. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And then Leah wants to know, actually, she wants to say thank you for a great talk first, so I'll mention that.
Thanks.
And then she wants to know, do you have any advice for mentioning volunteering for a political organization, and whether there's a concern around whether that might put a hiring manager off if you're affiliated with a specific political party, I guess.
This is a really good question, actually. I'll be honest and say, I don't personally, this is my personal opinion as well, by the way. I don't necessarily think you have to be politically neutral, but you have to be cautious. So don't go on there and bash political parties. Wouldn't advise that. However, I think it's completely fair and within your rights to work for specific political organizations. Somebody has to work for them. So if that's you, that's great. But again, I guess just be considerate in your tone, and maybe not use LinkedIn. In fact, just not maybe, do not use LinkedIn as a place to canvass for your political party. It's not that kind of platform. In the 2 years that I've been on the app, I've not seen anyone do that. Even in the several general elections that we've had, I've never seen anyone, kind of say vote for the Conservatives or vote for Labour Party. And when after this most recent election, I did a video talking about the election and the election results. I was quite clear in where I lie politically as a person. And it was a really popular video, actually. And I wasn't bashing anyone. I was just saying, whatever, because I was devastated with the result, I'll be honest. But I was just saying to people, whatever it is now, we have to work together as opposed to carry on hating each other. And so that's fine, but just not, being too political, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, no, I think it's to the extent that it's part of your interests and your personal brand and your experience, then that's all relevant in the job market. But yeah, like you were saying, don't make it too emotional or negative or anything like that. Then we've got a question from Camilla about that she's seen some LinkedIn users attach pictures to their education or job sections, and what are your thoughts on that?
Right. My brain's kind of fried. Sorry, guys. The pictures, I personally don't do that, although you can. And I've seen where it's worked really well. If you've got pieces of work that are a bit visual, if you are creative as well, please use it. The only reason why I don't, and it's very superficial, and I'm so glad they've got a featured section because now you can put all of that stuff in there, is that I felt that it looked clunky before. So someone would go on my profile and it just looked a little bit messy. That was the only reason why. But please feel free to, if you've got stuff to showcase.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've just got time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions because
Okay.
Coming to the end of the hour now. We've got a question from Bill about, would you recommend we put up a picture from us in uniform or just general smart attire? So he's a chemistry student. He's wondering if he should be in lab attire or how to navigate that.
That's a really good question. Prior to the featured section, I would have said, oh, like it's quite cool to have you in lab attire. Now you don't need to do that. So you can have the photograph of you in lab attire in your featured section, because that's an option to just have photos. And I've got a couple of photos where I'm doing things that I think are important that people should know about. But generally speaking, a decent headshot, doesn't even have to be professional, just a sensible headshot works really well.
Great. And then we've just got one last question that's been upvoted here is, LinkedIn doesn't have a tutoring section. If you've taught at different levels and in different schools, unis, etc., how do you put this in the experience, and all together or separate by place or by the place where you taught?
Okay, so it doesn't have a tutoring section, different levels and different.
I guess if you're tutoring at multiple different institutions, should you put that in as separate experiences or under one umbrella?
I would put them in as separate experiences based on the different locations where you've been teaching.
Perfect. All right, thank you all so much. I know we didn't get to all of your questions, but we did answer an awful lot. I just want to say a huge thank you to Inyini again for giving us her time and her fantastic wisdom with this great presentation. If you have questions, please do connect to us both through LinkedIn, obviously, and the King's Connect platform. You can always reach out to the alumni office at forever@kcl.ac.uk, and a recording of this webinar will be available on our YouTube channel. So do check that out or share it if you'd like to with other students and alumni who you think could benefit. So another huge round of applause for any.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.